Hey guys, welcome back to Blind Strike Exotics. I'm John, and yes, you read that correctly. Two snakes can make you $30,000, and sometimes even more than that. I'll explain why in this video, or explain how in this video. I started in this business with a couple, inexpensive ball pythons, a couple blue-eyed Lucies, a pastel, and that's when my love for this really blossomed, a few years back. And all I started doing was started gobbling up all of the best value that I could in terms of purchasing snakes. I got as many females as I could, if they were just plain Enchies or Blue Eye Lucy females. In my first year, I produced 3 or 4 clutches and kind of got a hang for it. My second full season, I think I produced 16, 17 clutches and almost 100 hatchlings, and I made decent money from doing that. But I produced one clutch this year that was worth almost as much as the 100 hatchlings that I produced last season. And I will show you how to do it. 2 snakes. That's it. These 2 snakes, which are my pair of lightning pieds. Lightning pied is MJ, Xanthic, and pied. It's a double recessive snake. I actually purchased these snakes at this point, fantastic deal of $7,000 last year. They were both adults at that point. I started breeding them 3 or 4 months later, and by this past July, their clutch hatched. Their clutch happened to be 7 healthy hatchlings, 3 females, 4 males. Females are selling at $5,000 a piece. Males are selling at $3,500 a piece. This clutch that they produced was worth $29,000. So the investment on this pair of snakes was $7,000. The clutch that they produced this past year was worth $29,000. So last season, when I produced close to 100 babies and had a really busy year, I think maybe my total value from last year was $35,000 to $40,000. This clutch right here is exactly why after last season I started selling off everything that was incomplete dominant or co-dom, whatever you want to call it, and started getting into basically being recessive only and trying to lean towards being double recessive. There is way too much value in some of these higher end morphs, especially when you're getting in the double recessives, to not go that route. And I've sort of low-key been preaching that we need to stop producing way too many snakes. There's over 30,000 ball pythons right now on Morph Market, and I would have to assume that a lot of them are just plain Janes. No recessives, or maybe 50% hets. And we don't need that many snakes on there. At some point, this is really going to get watered down by having too many snakes. But just from a business perspective, this is a better way to spend your money and your time. If you're like me and you have a family and you have kids and you probably have another job, you don't have all of the time in the world to sit in your snake room and spend hours and hours every day taking care of 100 hatchlings. Because you might have 40, 50 adults, or ones that you're raising up, but once those clutches start dropping and you have 100 extra snakes in your room that you need to raise up, it takes up a lot of your time. You have to produce that many more rodents or buy that many more rodents to feed them, and it's a lot of work. And I produced 100 snakes last year, and the 7 snakes from this clutch produced almost the same amount of value. So if you can look at it and say, well, I can make 100 snakes that are all cheap, or I can make 7 snakes that are all expensive, what do you think is the easier and better route to take? That is also how you're going to actually make this into a business if that's what you want to end up doing. You can produce thousands of hatchlings every year, but they're going to take a long time to sell, and you're not going to get any bang for your buck. You're going to be working your butt off, doing a ton of work, having to hire a bunch of employees, and it's not worth your time. I can tell you right now, that is not the way to get into this business. If you want to do it right, specialize in something. Pick a recessive or double recessive something that has a higher end gene pool that can net you a lot of money from the first clutch you make. I bought these snakes because I knew they looked really cool and I knew I wanted to get into recessives and double recessives. I never imagined that I'd be making $30,000 just from what these two snakes produced. And then at this point, my male here, little shy male, the female here, she's in shed and she's always angry. He's very inquisitive. This male also can breed multiple other females. I bred him to a pastel pied female that just laid 4 eggs. She was a little smaller. I have a pastel Mojave possible leopard pied female who is, I believe, gravid right now. Plus, he's being bred to 1 or 2 other females. So this snake that I bought for $3,500, this male, he is going to net me a huge return on investment when it comes to what's going to come out of the clutches he produces, and it's going to give me a brighter future in the snake industry here. So I really urge you guys, if you're getting into this, you definitely need to get your feet wet. And I'm not going to tell you to go out and buy a $5,000 snake right away, especially if you don't know how to care for it. There are people that get into this business as a hobby and they just have fun doing it. And there are people that get into this as trying to make it a legitimate business because they want to quit their day job. If you want to quit your day job, buy a couple snakes, see if you like it, see if you like taking care of them, but save up your money while you're doing that. While you're saving up your money and while you're figuring out whether or not this is for you, then invest. Buy an expensive pair of snakes. Buy 2 clown pieds. Buy 2 clown pieds and another female that's a het or double het, so that male can be bred to 2 females that can produce clown pieds for you. Those are the routes that this industry really should be going, in my opinion. And from a business perspective, somebody who's been there and done it, I haven't been here as long as the guys at the top of the business, but I can tell you right now, the effect that this has had on me this season compared to what I went through last season is profound. I went from literally spending hours down here every day cleaning, feeding, making sure snakes are okay. Out of 100 snakes that you hatch, you're going to have babies that aren't feeding well, so you're assist feeding or worrying about that. Having to do that versus just taking care of 7 little babies. I've only had 4 clutches this year, and I've already made more money than I did last year on all those 100 hatchlings that I produced. It's believe me, it makes your life a lot easier. There's a lot less upkeep in your snake room. This hatchling rack that I bought from ARS, right now I have these 2 holdbacks, these 2 holdbacks, these 2 lightning pieds are sold. These are the only 2 snakes from this season that haven't sold yet, that I still have for sale on Morph Market. This is my last lightning pied female, and she is actually going to be sold because I actually decided to purchase an adult lightning pied from Chris Towers up in Canada. So as soon as that female gets here and I make sure that she's here and healthy, this female's getting sold as well. So I really only have 2 snakes in that rack at this point that I produced from this season that haven't sold yet. That's better than having 40 or 50 hatchlings sitting in that rack that you're trying to sell and stressing about making money over. These snakes, these lightning pieds sold like that. It took me no time whatsoever to get these things sold. And I still have a Blue-Eyed Lucy and a banana male from the Urban Camo Project that have been sitting there for months that I can't sell even with a $250 off sale. So not only do you make more money from less snakes, but they usually sell quicker too. The more unique your snakes are, the easier they're going to sell because nobody else has them. I have not seen somebody in the United States sell a lightning pied yet. I'm the only person that I'm aware of that's producing them in the United States. They're Marcus Jane, which is the MJ Xanthic, he's from Canada. There are multiple breeders in Canada that are producing them, but I haven't seen somebody else in the U.S. selling these snakes. So it makes it easier for me. I get top dollar for the snakes. They sell very quickly. People are eager to get them, and I am able to kind of headline a project here in the States that nobody else is is taking advantage of. But even if you want to get into clown pides or clown xanthics or whatever it is, hit up double recessives, invest your money in 2 snakes rather than 20, and you'll make more money, and it'll make your life easier too. Instead of having, just a room full of racks and having to pay for the electric bills and having to feed everything in here every single week and spend all that money on rodents and have, 25 different rodent racks, 2 snakes can do all the same work as 20 or 30. Be smart. Invest in quality genetics. Invest in double recessives, and you will not regret it.